Wow, okay, 10 minutes, wow, it's fun. Okay, lightning round. Okay, so just a few years ago, I'm a young reporter here in St. Pete, and it's a Friday afternoon in July, and I'm doing my rounds on the police beat, and I've stopped at the St. Pete Police Department, and actually I'm leaving, and the old sergeant behind the front desk motions for me to wait. And there is a man standing with his back to me, and I don't really even notice him at first, but the old sergeant keeps looking at him because this sergeant would sometimes give me news tips. And he's looking at him, and finally I look, and you can have something right in front of you, and you can think you're good at seeing things, and you miss everything. Because when I look at this man, I notice first of all that he's shaking. His body is shaking. He's also not wearing a shirt, and his back to me is to me, but I can see over his shoulders that he's splattered with blood. And when he turns a little, I can see that the entire front of his body is covered in blood. This man has just killed his girlfriend and the mother of his child with a machete. And he is turning himself in. He attacked her as she was parking in her apartment with their 2-year-old son in his car seat, who observed the whole thing. And now he killed her, and now he's turning himself in and waiting for the detectives to take him away and take his statement, and when he's going to go to prison, obviously. I wrote the story that day, and some of my friends in the newsroom were very critical because they thought I'd missed an opportunity and that I didn't ask him any questions. They thought I should have been interviewing him while he was standing there. I don't agree. I didn't agree then, and I don't agree now. I don't know what I could ask that could have, or what answer he could have given that was more profound than what I was seeing. The trembling was his testimony. The blood was his testimony. And so what I'm here just, my simple craft suggestion is that, yes, interviewing is at the heart of journalism. It's something that I do all the time, that every good journalist I know does all the time. But we also, I think, need to learn to be quiet and stop asking questions all the time. I think it's really important for us to learn to be quiet and to be respectful and to allow things to unfold in front of us. We place incredible importance in journalism on what people say in an interview. And it does matter. But very often we don't place any importance in how they actually live their lives. And when we're writing about people who are, or covering people who are powerful, I think we should be measuring the distance between what they say and what they actually do. I think that's our job as journalists. And to do that requires us to learn to be quiet. And that is hard. It is hard for human beings to be quiet. If you think about the beautiful passage from Isabel Wilkerson's story, Poet's Morning story from '94 that Diana Sugg read last night, The Rules, Isabel described this mother sending her children off to school in the morning. And she describes this mad scramble for a mitten, which I love because I think a lot of people associate with that. And then Wilkerson describes the mom spraying her children with this holy oil to protect them against the violence and the deadly violence waiting outside that door. And I defy you to think of a question in an interview that's going to lead you to find that out. I mean, really great interviewer like Jackie, she could probably think of it, but I can't think of it. I think you're going to learn that by being quiet and respectful and observing the moment. Because then you're going to also hear the mom say to her children, so if you hear shooting, what do we do? Remember what they said she had to do in the rules? You run. Why do we run? Because bullets don't have no eyes. You're not going to get that from an interview. It's going to be hard to get that from an interview. But if you are quiet, as Isabel Wilkerson had to have been to have gotten that moment, you're going to get that. Now, she interviewed those people at great length, I'm sure. But she allowed herself to witness moments like that with respect and humility and quiet. Journalists, bullets may not have eyes, but journalists do. But very often, we don't trust what we see with our own eyes. I know a lot of really good young journalists. I've known some really good editors through the years who were much more comfortable with another quote from somebody with a title at a press conference than they are with something that reporter has witnessed with his or her own eyes. I think we have to pay attention to what we see and what people actually do. Like I said, especially important when we're writing about or covering powerful people. So one of my students the other day went to go cover a Trump rally. And this was just 2 days after the near riot in Chicago. And this was in Bloomington, Illinois, right before the Illinois primary. And Alden went into the rally. He did not get a media request. He did not get penned into the media pen. He just went in with the crowd quietly. He wasn't going to name anybody around him. He just wanted to describe what he saw and what he heard. Because this was at a point when Trump was saying, he actually said, there's no violence at my rallies. And if there is, it's not caused by my wonderful supporters. That these accusations of them being racist and anti-Muslim are deeply unfair. So let me just read you 3 paragraphs real quickly from Alden's piece that he got. "2 days after a string of brawls led Trump to cancel a rally in Chicago, the tension was apparent before he even arrived. 'We just want to see who we get to knock out first,' one woman yelled as she waited outside the gates. Trump's most ardent supporters lined up as early as 5 a.m., sitting through the rain." By the way, that means that Alden was there before 5 a.m. He spent the night in his car to be there, sitting in the rain. They lined up as early as 5 a.m., sitting through hours of rain. Another woman vowed to defend herself against protesters. "They touch me," she said. "This hillbilly's kicking somebody's ass." One teenage fan shielded himself from the rain by wrapping a blanket around his head. As the gates opened and the line moved forward, a Trump campaign staffer tapped this boy on the shoulder. "Excuse me, they're not going to let you wear that blanket on your head," he said. "You know, Muslim." Alden follows them in. A few minutes later, while they're waiting for Trump to arrive, he's in among the crowd, and there's what sounds like a gunshot. This is the day, also, it wasn't just, so on Friday night that had been the Chicago canceled rally, the next day the guy tried to rush the stage, Milwaukee maybe, someplace. So now they sound, and everyone just startles when they hear this sound. And then they hear it again, and it turns out there's a microphone that's doing something dumb. But those are moments that describe things, you know, I guess a supporter can say, we're all really on edge, we're really nervous. And that's fine. But that's what you're going to get from an interview. If you're there and if you're quiet and you're allowing things to unfold in front of you, you're going to get things that you're not necessarily going to get from an interview. Interviews are important, but it is also important that if we want to describe and chronicle people's lives as they truly are, if we want to witness history, and we heard last night over and over again how important that is. If we want to witness history, we have to learn to be quiet and witness it, and then tell people what we see. There's nothing going to be as profound. I heard many profound things last night. John Lewis, incredibly moving what he said. His words mattered. But that detail about that reporter, I think it was in Arkansas, who was being savagely beaten by the crowd but refused to run. And he would get knocked down to the ground, and he would pick up his hat, and he would take the time to straighten the crease on his hat before they kept beating him again and again and again. He did that. That's the kind of detail we get by observing. Thank you.